All right, guys. Welcome once again to the MMOs.com podcast. Episode 141 here. We missed you last week, but we are back with no technical difficulties, hopefully. I'm joined this week by...
Omer.
All right. So we were gone last week, Omer. That means we have twice as much to talk about. Any starting word before we jump to the weekly raid?
There's actually a lot of fun stuff to talk about this week. We got 2 weeks worth of stuff that happened, plus we got some controversial topics as usual. But let's start right with the weekly raid and just move through it like we usually do.
That sounds
good. And hopefully
good.
We don't yell at each other as much as we did last episode about early game and stuff like that.
Yeah, I felt like we were just talking about different things. All right, hopefully we'll have some discussion about this one, though. So this weekly raid is, how do you feel about free games adding subscription options? This is a trend we're seeing more and more. It started a couple years ago. The first one that comes to my mind is Allods. So Allods is this free-to-play Russian-developed game. Take some notes from WoW, but with more of like a steampunk look. But it was free-to-play, but then it added a premium subscription server. And more recently, we're seeing games like Rift do this. Even games like Soulworker are adding these kind of recurring bonuses, subscriptions, where you just get like bonuses every month. So what are your thoughts on this process? Are we going to see more of it? Do you like it? Do you hate it?
Well, obviously, I hate it in a lot of games.
Really?
And yeah, because if you look at games like Arcade, I think one of the reasons people say that game like died or Tron killed it was simply because like you needed like the patrons. You needed to pay for the monthly subscription if you wanted to have enough labor points to really enjoy the game. Because it had a pretty rich crafting system and resource gathering system, but all required labor points, and they really restricted that system to people that didn't pay. I mean, when it's done in such a way that it's really only optional content, like stuff like Compendium in Dota 2, even though those aren't really subscriptions, like you can.
Well, they are now. But we'll get to that.
Yeah, they are now. But if you add in like a Compendium in Dota 2, I don't think it really changes the game, and it's really not a big deal. Like even stuff like microtransactions, I think World of Warcraft generally does a very good job with it. And Final Fantasy XIV does a very good job with it, where the things you buy in the game don't really impact anything.
Well, those are already subscription games, though. Yeah. Okay.
That's true. But even if they keep the subscription, the extra optional items, where it's not really game breaking or just cosmetic, it's really not a problem. And it goes back to the pay to win territory. And we really haven't seen the pay to win really affect MOBAs that much until just recently, but to a degree, I guess now. Mostly, it kind of affects free to play MMORPGs. But usually, those are usually one-time purchases too. We're seeing more and more just subscriptions in free to play games, and it really does become mandatory. Like if you look at Star Wars: The Old Republic, the game is technically a free to play game now, but it was never really free to play. Like that one, I kind of give a pass to, because basically from the get-go is they made it free to play, but like to really actually play the game, you have to subscribe. Like so many of the features are locked behind like paywalls. So that one I'll give kind of a pass to, but it does seem kind of weird. And I think Arcade is an example of a way not to do it, where you piss off a lot of players. I
think for certain games, like the games that were premium, like subscription, like Star Wars: Old Republic, Elder Scrolls Online, going from that to a subscription I give that a pass, right? But the problem I see with free games offering this, like Rift is a good example, is the incentive now is to make the cash shop even shittier and even more pay to win, because the incentive is you want them to subscribe to the non-cash shop version. So it kind of gives them an open-ended invitation to make the cash shop as shitty as possible, and they can always say, look, if you don't want to deal with this, just pay a subscription. You can play on the one that you don't have to worry about the cash shop. So
that's true. They can always push people to the subscription server if they don't like it. I think actually, if this trend takes hold even more, we're going to see more obviously bullshit pay-to-win stuff. And because the developers are perfect out, you don't want pay-to-win stuff? Go pay for the monthly subscription. And then that's almost like a pretty good excuse too, because if you do, then they can get rid of all that stuff in the regular version. But it's still weird. I know at first when World of Warcraft first added their subscription, their microtransactions, people got mad. Like, I'm already paying like a monthly sub. I should get all this content for free. Like, why are you nickel and diming me for all this extra stuff? Like, I think there was quite a bit of outrage there. But it's kind of died down. It's mostly gone now, because I think free-to-play games kind of because how shitty a lot of free-to-play games handle their cash shops. People look back at the WoW cash shop, they're kind of happy with it, because it's generally not pay to win. But that's because they have a subscription as well.
I actually think this is probably nothing new right now, but I really think every game is going to be all three. So every game is going to have an early access period that lasts like a year, where it's going to cost money, so buy to play. Every game is going to have a cash shop with like cosmetics or experience boosts or whatever, and every game is going to have an optional subscription. So we're going to get all three. Every game is going to have all three business models built in. Every game, for PC at least, going forward, I think.
I mean, you have games like EverQuest as well, which are free to play now. But in order to play in the subscription servers, the progression servers, you need a subscription. And most of the people that really do play EverQuest today as a free to very few people play it as a free to play game because you all want to play in the progression server, which is the most fun server with the most people on it. So, and even it's pushing a lot of free to play users to get that subscription. Yeah. And as long as they don't lock I still think Arcade is probably the worst offender for that because as long as you have an option to play on the free server and it's not too too unfair or too bullshit, it's fine.
Teras says even Star Citizen. Well, Star Citizen's actually a step ahead. It's got all three with no game yet. So there's a subscription, there's microtransactions, and you got to buy it, the alpha, to get access to the alpha. So there you go. You
gotta respect Star Citizen. They have all three business models despite not having a game. And I know we shit on crowdfunding games a lot in this podcast, but actually, I mean, bit of a side note here. But a game launches last week. It's called Project Gorgon. They raised money on Kickstarter. It's an indie developed game, basically made by a handful of people, and it actually came out. The game is now on Steam in early access. I think it costs like $30 to play or $40 to buy. But, like, some of these games do come out. But from what I've seen, though, it's always, the ones with grounded expectations, the ones that don't go crazy promising the world. So they do happen, I know we don't want to kind of write them all off.
Yeah, I actually want to show a trailer for Project Gorgon. I thought this is like one of those indie small studio games, so that's why the graphics aren't great. But they're going for that old school look. It's a lot of the devs were from Asheron's Call, which was a golden age MMORPG, around the same time as EverQuest. But this trailer, I feel like they could have done a little better here. If my Steam page loads, I will... Okay.
Golden Age, again. Everyone kind of refers to it as the Golden Age. And everyone, again, has this misconception that MMORPGs are dying. I don't think that's the case again. If you... The thing is, back in the day, when we played RuneScape, we played WoW, we had like 4 games to play. Either you played WoW, you played EverQuest, you played RuneScape, you played like all... There's only so many games you could play. Now the problem is we have over 100 free-to-play games, and all the players are diffused more. I think all the active players in MMORPGs in America, we have more people playing MMORPGs today than we did in like 2005 or 2006.
I agree, but let me try this player. Let me play this trailer, and then I want to discuss a few things about that. Okay, so here we go. 3, 2, 1. Here we go.
Let's take a look. See, I actually have not played this game yet, by the way. I do want to play it, but I'm waiting for them to give me a free copy. I ain't paying the $40 for it.
Band together to explore the boundless
Is it because I'm a cheap ass? I don't know.
And create an economy from the ground up.
Is your audio one we gotta pay attention to?
It's not too important.
Yeah.
Become part
look, I do like that they're trying something different. Did they go back to almost like the Tale of Toast model, where basically you have a classless progression system, which is again a throwback to games like RuneScape, Ultima Online, and these oldies, where every game now kind of structured with classes. So it feels like a lot of these indie games are very like the people that make these games very much grew up playing RuneScape, playing Ultima Online, and the game was like the older games. It's not the most beautiful game in the world. Interface seems a bit like there's a lot of text there, but there seems to be some depth to it.
I actually am going to take the opposite view. Look, when Asheron's Call came out, I believe it was around 1999, 2000. Okay, a few months after EverQuest came out, this game came out. It was cutting edge. Okay,
yep.
All these people connecting with dial-up modems to play in this one world, and the fact that so many games today and projects today are going on nostalgia, they should be looking forward, not back, in my opinion. Right, a lot of the combat in EverQuest that we liked was actually cutting edge for that time. So they should do cutting edge now, and they should just by looking backwards to try to capture. I think a lot of people didn't actually like the combat in EverQuest. It was just that it was so new. It was pushing the boundary. They should be doing that now. Just looking back 18 years and trying to emulate a game from back then. I don't think it's going to go well. It will get some nostalgia factor. Some old guys just playing for fun, but it's not going to sustain, in my opinion.
So I take it you're not excited for Pantheon for the same reason, because a lot of those projects, again, are kind of harping on the nostalgia of EverQuest. And yeah, you have a point to a degree where, like, I don't want to see big companies and big projects focus on nostalgia, but when you have a smaller studio making a game out of passion, I don't see the problem with trying to milk the nostalgia.
A small project is okay. So here's my problem with Pantheon, which, by the way, I'm going to try because I loved EverQuest. So I'm the target audience, right? But can you imagine someone who just maybe is like 16 today, or even younger? How old were we? We were like 12 when we played EverQuest, maybe 13. Yeah. Can you imagine a 13-year-old today who's growing up on Fortnite, right? Can you imagine
Minecraft and all
Roblox? So here's a stream from what's it called? Pantheon, right? So they're fighting this shirtless miner in this cave, okay? It's this little ad, a little trash mob, and it takes them like 5 minutes to kill it, of just auto attacking.
That's the EverQuest I know, baby. That's the EverQuest I'm used to.
Yeah, so this is how we grew up playing MMORPGs. But the reason we put up with this combat wasn't because we liked the combat. It was because, oh my god, I'm doing this with other people. Like the cleric healing me, the mage nuking next to me. These are real people, baby. And to us at that age, that was cutting edge. But I don't think if you just take that combat and put it in 2018, technology. You're
right.
It's not. The cool part wasn't this combat. Like sitting there for 8 minutes wasn't the cool part back then. So I'm gonna play it.
You're
right. It's a problem.
And the fact that one of the things that made MMORPGs so magical. I mean, we grew up literally like some of our first PC games were StarCraft, and then we played Ultima Online and EverQuest. Like we literally like when we were 12, we were playing Ultima Online, and when we were like 13, we were playing EverQuest, and my mind was blown when I was online in a world where I could see other people running around at the same time as me. Like I could see their character, and like they sit down, like whoa, I can see you over there. And like when I killed an enemy, I got stronger. I'm like, wait a minute. Not only did I get stronger, like these other motherfuckers can see me get stronger. Like I got a new weapon. I can show off this new glowing weapon to this guy next to me. He's gonna think I have a big dick. You know, like it was such a magical experience when that was so new. But anyone playing video games today, like a 16-year-old playing like 12-year-old playing video games today, is not amazed by that anymore.
Everything's online. Like Fortnite, everything's online. You know, so for them, it's
so that magic is gone. So you're right. It is weird to see so many of these projects trying to look at nostalgia when they're kind of, like it wasn't the auto attacks and this combat system that made MMORPGs fun. It was the magic of the persistent universe and all this shit happening at once. So what can you do differently, with MMORPGs? Because I don't think it's this combat that's going to make it fun and kill these enemies forever.
Summer, this is for you mostly because I know you played EverQuest. I'm sure some people in chat did as well. But this is a document that someone put together from the stream, and it shows elements of Pantheon. And look how much they were inspired by EverQuest. This is really the tree of savior to Ragnarok Online. So this is obviously the chat log, the combat log. It says a black rose worker's corpse twitches for a moment, then slumps to the ground. And every time you attack, it says stuff like that.
That is exactly from EverQuest.
I mean,
the exact combat, the chat logs, the combat options that pop up there.
You pierce a black rose mine hand for 4 damage. If we scroll down here, look at the corpse looting. So if you die, you drop, your corpse falls, and you got to come back to it and reloot it. Just look at this inventory more. From everything from the loot, even like the mask piece of gear, like the pieces of gear, the exact same number of inventory slots, and the background backpack image. It's so the radar, the compass, I should say. Link dead. They're bringing back Link dead. So if you DC in EverQuest, you weren't DC'd, you were Link dead. So that's coming back. So this is a huge throwback, and I think they're obviously just aiming it at nostalgic EverQuest players. But is that enough to keep them going? I think probably, but it's not going to really move the genre forward.
No, definitely not. It's gonna the people that play Pantheon today aren't gonna be the young kids. I don't think you're gonna have high schoolers playing this or middle schoolers. And for a game to really thrive and be big, an MMORPG is supposed to be massive in my eyes. Like, yes, you're gonna. I bet the average age of the person that plays Pantheon is gonna be pretty high. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not gonna be what's gonna move the genre forward. It's not gonna be what brings us the next big MMORPG. I mean, I wish Pantheon well, and I'm gonna play. I am the target audience because I loved playing EverQuest growing up. I think it was the second MMORPG I ever played after Ultima Online, and I loved it. I played it for years, but I'm gonna play for the nostalgia mostly. I don't see like this game design appeal. I couldn't imagine like talk to my cousin. Hey, I got this game I want you to try. I would be embarrassed to show this game to my younger cousins. But he's like, what the fuck are you doing? I don't know. It wouldn't appeal to them. Yeah. It makes no sense.
Well, we'll see. It does sound like it does. I think at least they know that they're gonna be a niche for an older community. It's gonna be subscription based. No cash shop, no pay to win stuff. So we'll see.
So actually, that can kind of take us to another mechanic in MMORPGs back then versus today, which I think is a pretty good discussion. It's about rating in old MMORPGs versus new MMORPGs. And this was a topic of controversial discussion I had with one of my friends for about 3 hours on Discord. And I found this video for EverQuest. We're just talking about EverQuest. Look at what rating was like in EverQuest back in the day. And this is actually on a progression server, so this is actually on a newer build of EverQuest. It's not like old school EverQuest, but it's again on a progression server. So this back, it's still old school EverQuest, but on a new server. And you can see just this combat going on right now. And like, if you watch this video, you'll see that there really isn't that many mechanics happening. So essentially, I had this conversation with a friend about I basically said old MMORPGs, even old World of Warcraft, vanilla World of Warcraft, even EverQuest, like you're seeing right now in this video. Rating back then was harder than it is today. Rating has become easier. Whereas my friend disagreed, and he basically said, no, it hasn't. It got more accessible. It's not that it's easier, it just got more accessible. So we had a pretty lengthy discussion about that. But just look at the combat you're seeing in the background. And what made this raiding experience fun in EverQuest as well as World of Warcraft, there really wasn't that much to it. If you played EverQuest back then and you played like a tank, for example, like a warrior class in EverQuest, like if you played modern MMORPGs, you'd be blown away with what your rotation was. You know, what skills you use, when you use them. You know, wow, you got Heroic Strike, you got Sunder, you got Bleed, you got Charge. There's so many abilities you can use on your hotbar, right? But if you've seen this video, there's no hotbar full of abilities in this video. Because if you're playing warrior, you literally just auto-attack. That's it, guys. You're just auto-attacking. However, you do have an ability called Kick, which I think you'll like level 12 or something. And once you get Kick, every once in a while, if you can stop the Kick button, and it's got like a 15-second cooldown, you can throw out a kick that does like 1/5 of regular auto-attack damage every 15 seconds. Basically not even required, but you can do it if you want. And that's it. That's your rotation. You auto-attack, and every 15 seconds you hit kick. Whereas in modern MMORPGs today, you have rotations. You know, you got to do your threat combos, you got to do your DPS combos, you got to move around, you got to dodge mechanics. If you watch this video, for basically, looks like 12 minutes, there's like no movement. They're all just standing still. I think when one warrior dies, they switch another warrior out. Obviously, the clerics are spamming heals. Like, the mages at least had some different spells they could use. But if you were playing a melee class in EverQuest back in the day, you had nothing. There was no impressive rotations, nothing. This was what old raiding was like.
Well, I would say one thing I think EverQuest did right, and they were really ahead of the curve on this, is making your skill slots a commodity that has to be managed. So in EverQuest, I forgot the number, but probably I think it was around 8. You had 8 slots for spells or skills, right?
I think it was more like I think 6 or 7 on each side of the screen, so like 12. If I remember correctly, I think it was more than that.
Okay, well, whatever the number was. So you had that was all you had, and if you wanted to swap them out, it actually took time. You had to sit down, open the book, and then like swap it out, and it took I think a minute or so to swap them out. And a couple games have done that, where I think in fact Bless does that, right? You only have a certain number of slots in your hotbar. I love that system. I'm okay with giving players hundreds of skills, right? But the fact that they have to manage it, it makes it easier, one, aesthetically, instead of having like 8, like WoW. You have like 12 hotbars. Like if you ever see like a WoW raider, they'll have like 2 hotbars on the left and right, you know, on the bottom. It's just stupid.
There's lots of hotbars.
Yeah.
But anyway, the conversation really became about, you know, old MMORPG rating versus new MMORPG rating. And I do have to say, new MMORPG rating is simply more fun. Look, I rated Molten Core. My brother rated Molten Core. You did Blackwing Lair as well, you know, back in vanilla WoW days, right? So, you know, we had a pretty good experience rating in WoW. But the actual mechanical aspect of the fights, when we were doing Ragnaros, when we were doing all the bosses in Molten Core, the first pull and like Encourage and stuff, like we did the bosses there. The actual mechanics required to beat those bosses weren't difficult. Like your actual rotations and the amount of movement you had to do was actually pretty generous. The hardest part of those fights were the gear checks, as well as simply coordinating with like 40 people at once. Yeah. Those were the challenges, because you know when like, it's so weird. At least WoW still has like 20-man raids. You know, with 8 people, there's always like once in a while there's a guy who has to go to the bathroom, right? AFK bio, give me a minute. But when you have 40 people, there's a guy going to the bathroom every 2 minutes. All right, it's always happening. So you gotta see there's one guy AFK at all times. It just becomes a fiesta. It was a different kind of difficulty.
Yes.
Back then.
I agree with that. But you know what? Yeah. I actually like that better. I think watching you raid in Final Fantasy, right? Some of the stuff is fun, but I feel like this constant checkerboard movement. Like I see him, he's on some stage, right? And like this guy, this robot, he like raises his left arm. Okay, that means he's gonna shoot like this like pattern, and you got to stand here and then there. I mean, it's like, what is this, musical chairs? Like it's like to me that's the wrong kind of difficulty. If I want that kind of difficulty, I'll play a game like Dark Souls. Okay, or Bullet Hell.
Is this what's riveting combat to you? Look, I have to say, raids are more fun today mechanically. However, the fact that we lost that challenge either through coordination or through gear checks, I think there's still something to be said about that content, where that kind of difficulty of basically putting in the hours, I think losing that actually kind of hurts the experience overall.
Yeah, and don't forget, just the alternative to a gear check like this, or some kind of communication check, you know, where you got to organize 40 people. The alternative, you know, the one Final Fantasy, there's a technical check now. A lot of like, if you're like a 40, 50-year-old, and unless you really memorize those things, you basically can't do it. Like there's too much movement left and right. And you know, a 40-year-old can play this raid you're seeing right now, right? Yeah. And this is like top 1% of EverQuest players doing stuff like this. And a 40-year-old has just as much of a chance of being here as anyone else, right? Because like I said, you gotta just push W every 3 seconds. You know, like you gotta push A. Yep. But
the rotations are nothing.
But the raids I'm seeing in Final Fantasy, yes, they're more. You can't let go of the keyboard. Like, you got to always have your mouse and keyboard in your hand. But I think that actually locks more people out from ever even trying it because they just can't.
No, but those players can still compete in the content on the easier difficulties.
Yeah, on the easy one.
WoW and Final Fantasy 14 both have normal mode raids. I think WoW's got different difficulty tiers for their raids as well. If you're doing the Mythic Plus content, it's the difficult content, but it's more accessible this way as well. I think it isn't necessarily a great thing if only 1% of your players can even see Naxxramas. Like that's not a perfect solution. I would actually like to see that maybe 1% of players couldn't complete Naxxramas or even less, but let people at least try to do it. Like some of the attunement stuff, like I don't think attuning should take like 8 hours. Like,
no, but okay. I'm gonna clarify. I'm actually okay with the 1% thing, but it's just 1%. I want the 1% that are dedicated to the game to get there, whether they're elderly or not. Whereas in games like Final Fantasy, newer games with more technical raids, the percent that's precluded from that is a literal like age check, honestly. So I don't know. I don't like that.
I did like people had to put in the hours for the gear before they could do the content. They had to do like, even though the actual fights I would still say are less mechanically challenging, I like the fact that there was a build up to it. It just seems a little bit easier today. It seems actually it's objectively easier because if you look at the completion rates between like if you look at the way raids have gone in Final Fantasy 14 and World of Warcraft, the amount of time it takes for World's First, even between like Warlords of Draenor and Mists of Pandaria to like Legion, the World's First between the bosses have gotten shorter, and that's a trend that's happened in Final Fantasy 14 as well, where the amount of time it takes to complete the content has gotten like drastically smaller and shorter. So even though the fights are still fun, I think they've still gotten easier as well. But yeah,
I have an interesting point. I feel like when I'm watching you raid in Final Fantasy, there doesn't seem to be any cost to dying. Like I remember in WoW, if we wipe like 5-6 times, that was it. That meant the main tank was like, guys, it's gonna cost me like 50 gold to repair my shit. I'm done. Like I don't have the money. You know what I'm saying? Like,
there was actually
the repair costs were legit. Like you couldn't fuck around with that. Like, but if I see you wipe like for 3 hours and everyone's okay, good to go.
In Final Fantasy 14, the actual cost of dying is almost nothing because the actual repair costs are literally negligible. They exist for one reason. Like the only thing repair costs do is if your gear breaks in your dungeon, you have to leave, repair it, and come back in, right, with a queue. But usually when you leave, people just leave. Like, they give up. Like when your gear's broken, they're gone. They're not coming back. They're like this is not happening. I'm out. There's a negligible cost. There is a small cost if you're using raid food, which increases your stats a little bit, or potions during the fight, like maximize your DPS. But you don't really need the potions anyway. Like that's only if you're like tryharding. But there is very little cost to actually dying. And what's weird is actually Final Fantasy 14 compared to WoW rating is it's weird to see like resurrections in battle. Like you could do battle reses in WoW, like druids and stuff could do battle reses, but it was kind of like you only had a few of them, right? You have to stay for like a main tank or something, or some shit happened. In Final Fantasy 14, like you could have like 15 deaths in a fight and still clear it, which is pretty bullshit to me.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bit bizarre. Actually, there's two things I want to talk to you about Final Fantasy 14 because I was raiding the other day with a friend. And we talked about last week about how like the fights today are designed. Final Fantasy 14 fights today raids seem to be designed around like 5 players or like 4 players being good, and the other 4 players being bad. Like you can clear fights with 4 people basically being really bad, as long as other 4 players can carry the weight. You can do it, right? Whereas I would say in older content in Final Fantasy 14, that wasn't the case. Like the fights were designed around everyone being good. If one person was bad, the fight was literally almost unclearable if one person wasn't pulling their weight. And that's completely different today. So I want to show you this. Maybe you can show this log on the stream over here. Basically, I did a fight with one of my friends, and you can see the scores, the performance percentage over there. I shared it in the podcast chat, and I actually feel kind of bad about completing this fight because there was a group duty finder up where they were saying basically like a clear party for Sigma 1, which is the easiest current content raid in Final Fantasy 14 in the hardest difficulty, and if you're still struggling to clear Sigma 1, which again the easiest content in current tier, and it's been out for like 6 weeks, it generally means you're probably not you're not hardcore, and that's fine. It's okay not to be hardcore. And there's nothing you don't have to rate to enjoy these games. I have a lot of friends with Final Fantasy 14 that simply don't rate. But if you're struggling and people are like, oh, I've been trying this forever, I can't do it. It's hard to find good parties. So I joined this party. I got my friend Witchy to join as well, and you can see if you look at these numbers, whatever number you get shows you like what percentage of players you are. So like my number came out 84 on this run, which shows I'm the top 16% basically. My friend who's a tank came out 77, and what's remarkable is that the tank is actually the second highest damage in this fight. I'm playing a DPS class, so I did 5,500 damage per second. My friend who's a tank was 3,700. At no point should a tank do more damage than a DPS. It just literally it should never happen.
Yeah, in any MMO.
In any MMORPG. But this shows you like you should not have two players should not be allowed to carry a raid. Like this content should not be designed so 2 people can completely carry it, which it did happen.
Well, okay. So I know Omar and I have gone back and forth a lot on what is a raid, right? The definition of raid, and how I don't consider Final Fantasy raids as raids. I have a good rule of thumb. If you can pug it, it ain't a raid. There you go.
But you can pug anything technically. Like even in vanilla, you could. I mean, it was hard to get 40 people to pug something, but like I've done Enix pugs back in vanilla WoW. Enix obviously was not.
Well, Enix was the closest thing to not being a raid because it was literally just one dragon.
And you can actually do an with like way less than 40 people, even on release. Like if you did it well.
But back to this. By the way, Mar, you just got yourself banned, baby, because you can't share this damage chart shit. You know, you are literally shaming Kimchi Dash, Mr. Aziriel Fur, Vice Estevine. All right, you're shaming these bottom 10% players right here. So
no, it's not about. It's more about just. I'm criticizing the content. I don't like the fact that these fights can be cleared with people just basically doing nothing and people face rolling their keyboard. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, and it's kind of the game's fault as well because these games don't really teach you how to play your class. Like, they just don't teach you anymore. If you played WoW today or even Final Fantasy XIV today, just getting to max level is a joke. At no point do you learn how to play the game. And I think there's some bad design right there. I think both games are fun. They're really fun. And raiding in World of Warcraft, Mythic is still. I've seen videos of it. It looks fun. I would love to raid in World of Warcraft today. I just don't want to go through the fucking motions of getting a max level character with appropriate gear to start raiding. If I had access to that, I'd play it right away. But it just these fights should not be doable with. It should not be clearable by two. You should be able to carry with 2 people. They should require at least like 5-6 people to be competent. And this takes me to another point actually about games being babied. And I think this can upset you a little bit because Final Fantasy XIV said they're going to start banning people for using a mechanic in the game. Altai, you ready for this?
Well, okay, let's hear it.
So Final Fantasy XIV introduced a new area to the game called Eureka. I'll talk more about that later. But basically, it's an open world zone where people basically kill big bosses. You kill a big boss, you get huge experience points and some rewards, right? So when a big boss spawns, basically like 100 players will show up at that boss to try killing it, right? Almost like think of it as world boss, I guess, for someone that doesn't play Final Fantasy. However, in that zone, there are usually high-level monsters basically roam around that zone, right, at all times. So it's pretty dangerous. You can die pretty easily. Okay. So what players are doing is when a boss spawns, they'll pull an enemy from nearby that is a giant AOE and pull it towards that boss. Oh. When there's 100 players in one area, you could easily get players killed by accident. And I want to show you the GIF you can show it on stream. Okay. It's actually pretty hilarious. I think it's pretty hilarious. But look what this guy does on the stream. There's basically 100 people trying to kill this boss, and this guy pulls a snake from nearby, and you're about to see a massive AoE cleave when it comes from that snake, and look how many people it breathes on. And if you see the gray on their names, it means they're dead.
Wait. So is this random snake pull harder than this world boss? Like, why are they insta dying?
Because what's happening, it's weird the way this zone is designed, right? Basically, that's probably like a level. You have a separate leveling system on this zone. That's like maybe a level 9 enemy, and a lot of players are killing like levels 3 and 4.
So the level 3 and 4 they can fight the world boss, but not the random pull.
Well, because they're not tanking it. The world boss will one-shot them as well.
Okay, but someone else is tanking. Okay, I see.
Yeah, some other random guy is tanking. But what's happening? I think it's hilarious, personally. That this is happening.
It is hilarious, and this goes back to the start of the podcast. We talk about EverQuest. One of my favorite things in EverQuest was training, baby. You just run through a dungeon, aggro every mob, and then you would run back to the entrance. And obviously EverQuest is old, so you'd have to load out of between zones. So you load out, but all the mobs that were following you now are clumped. And then once you zone out, they want to go back to their spawn location. But they wouldn't. Back then, it's not like WoW or whatever today, where they just reset and just like go back. They would actually fight on the way back. So then all the noobs at the beginning of the zone would get killed by all these high-level mobs. They're trying to go back to their starting areas. That was great.
So yeah, but this is considered. Square Enix came out and said this is considered MPK, monster PKing, and it's not allowed. If you see anyone doing it, report them and they'll get banned.
Oh my god.
Thoughts?
No, that's stupid. One, what if this guy just wanted to fight this boss and then he just didn't know that thing was following him?
Yeah, that's always a possibility.
How are you gonna ban for this?
If one guy keeps getting reported like 10, what if they have a chat log with him saying, "Lol, I can't wait to get these fucking noobs killed with this AOE." Lol, 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 omega, lol, omega, lol. They do that, then what? Huh? Then they got a record on him. I don't think it should be bannable either. I think it's weird that they're banning for it because if they don't want this shit to happen, Just get rid of that cleave mechanic, or make it so cleave can only hit the target he's aggroed on. Done. Problem fixed.
I mean, or just make, I guess, the area around the world boss, when other mobs go there, they just reset. I don't know, or something like that. There's a lot of things they can do. They shouldn't. When you're banning for players for like gameplay, in-game stuff like this, it just shows that they don't want to actually handle the problem. They just want to like, write it off and let just I don't know. It's like a bad way to handle a bug or what they think is a bug.
Or an unintended feature. Obviously, they didn't intend on this happening, but it seems like there's a very easy fix for this without banning people.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's not that big of a deal. You die here. Look, there's a penalty for dying here if you don't get resurrected, but, and any of these guys will all res you anyway. It's a very minor inconvenience anyway.
Yeah, well, like we were saying, nothing really happens when you die, apparently, so, I mean...
But here's a counter-argument that my friend had, which I think is worth mentioning. I mean, obviously, this is unintended, right? So we can look at other unintended elements of games, and should they be punishable? So let's say you queue for a dungeon in Final Fantasy XIV, right? So you have 3 friends and some other random, right?
Yeah.
Are in the dungeon with you.
Okay.
So you 4 are clearing the dungeon, and right before you get to the final boss, the 3 guys in the dungeon look at you because you're the random, right? And they say, "Lol, and they vote kick you, and you get kicked out of the dungeon.
Yeah.
You just spent 20 minutes clearing this dungeon, and you got kicked for the boss, where you get the final rewards.
I'm good with that. I'm okay with that.
But you don't think that's unfair for him?
No, that's not unfair.
He didn't choose to queue with you. The game
Yes, he did. He used the queue feature.
To queue with people, yeah.
Okay.
And it matched them up with
Hold up. We used to do that stuff like that all the time. I remember, in fact, one of us had to G quit a guild because when a mob died, like the guild master DC'd, and then the next person became master looter, and then we looted the mob, the raid boss, and then we had to G quit after because they were going to kick us anyway.
We have personally taken advantage of the master looter system in EverQuest on one occasion I remember, which is slightly different because this actually just seems to be abusing the mechanic.
Well, no, it's not. Wait. Then you know what they could do? They could make it so you can't G kick from a queued party. Only manual party that are created can be kicked. There you go. Fixed.
No, but the problem was if there's one person trolling or being toxic that you can the majority. There's a reason for that system. Like I feel most of the time that system.
If the reason for the feature is to kick somebody that the rest of the party doesn't want to play with, then this seems like a functional. If there's 7 people that are friends, and there's one random, whatever. If there's one random or 2 random, whatever it is, if the majority of players don't want to play with those other 3 or 2 or 1, that is the feature.
Let's say the guy did nothing wrong. He was the model player. He was the nicest guy. He never messed up his mechanics. He's here to clear some content.
Is the point of the kick feature to kick a non-model player, or is to kick a player that the other players don't want to play with? See what I'm saying?
It could be toxic. It's just any of those things, but it just seems like an abuse of the mechanics. And I can see that being a problem.
No, to me, it sounds like a perfect use of the feature. If the majority of players don't want to play with the minority of players for whatever reason they picked, and they're using this feature in the game, that's a-okay to me. I don't think anything wrong with that.
Personally, I don't think that should be bannable, but I think the way Final Fantasy XIV handles it is a problem, and it's a problem because I think a lot of these MMORPGs where you're allowed to be a dick, like this guy in this video, I think it's hilarious, by the way, that he's that GIF that gets those people killed, right? I think it's hilarious. But him doing this, there should be repercussions, but I don't think repercussions should come from Square Enix banning him, right? So the whole point of MMORPGs is supposed to be this online community, right? People should look at this guy's name and be like, oh, it's K.S. He's that faggot who he's trolled people in Eureka. He's an asshole. Don't party with that guy. He's a dick. He's a douchebag, right? And that should be his punishment, where his reputation becomes punished. And that would be really cool. However, the weirdest, most bizarre thing is in Final Fantasy XIV, and I think a lot of MMORPGs do this as well, you pay like $10, you can change your name. That circumvents the entire purpose of an online reputation.
Well, I have a good fix for that. And actually, you know, it's funny. A very interesting game had a good fix for this. Maple Story. Do you remember the fame feature?
Yeah.
So something like that.
That was a bullshit system. That didn't mean shit.
I know, but I'm just saying they could do something like that. Where let's say you're a low fame, then you can't use the cube finder. Maybe you get worse loot percent drops, so that you would have to work that up. You know.
Yeah, if there was some kind of punishment for like at the end of the raid. At the end of a dungeon, you can commend somebody, but you can't like down commend somebody. If somebody's being an asshole, you know, like maybe you should be able to vote like that they're an asshole, you know.
And I don't want to drop this party thing just yet. One more thing, a lot of people in chat have mentioned this is democracy, baby. If let's say majority of people, you know, they elect Trump or something, and he does something you don't like, you know, that's the way that works. That's how democracy works. So that's it. You know, either you're okay with the voting feature, or they should just get rid of it and you can't kick people out of your parties, or you can only leave, I guess. You know, you can't half-ass it.
No, but you're looking at it in such a very black and white way. Let's say like in Overwatch, right?
Okay.
If I play healer, I play Mercy, and I only use my pistol.
Okay.
Like I am clearly intentionally throwing the game.
I mean, that's not
You're not
intentional.
playing the game the way it was intended.
Well, I mean, that
Any
doesn't.
which way.
No, that's not
That's
fair.
not even a meta issue. No,
It is.
Mercy's objectively not a DPS character, and if you want to play DPS, you shouldn't be playing Mercy. That's the reality of it.
No, I don't buy that. But assuming I do for now, keep going.
Okay. Should a player who queues for ranked and decides to play DPS Mercy, should he not be punished? If
No.
all 7 of his teammates are like, fuck this guy?
They can vote kick him. Is there a feature like that or no?
No, I don't think in Overwatch.
Well-
In Overwatch ranked, you can't just vote kick your. You'd be playing. Even if you can, you'd be playing a man down. Then you still rather have the DPS Mercy than nothing.
Okay, that's fine. Then his rank will go down. But hold on. If I'm playing with a Mercy DPS in a ranked game, and I end up in the same game as him, that means he's as equally skilled as I am, right? So what am I complaining about?
No. Let's say he's actually he doesn't actually play Mercy DPS. He sees you all time. I don't like this guy all time. I'm gonna go throw his game. But I can't just intentionally throw his game, so I'm gonna go play Mercy DPS. Because if I just go AFK, I'll get banned. If I do all this other stuff, I'm gonna get banned. So I'm gonna play Mercy DPS. You don't think the guy should be banned?
No.
Why?
Well, what rules is he breaking?
He's throwing the game. That's the rule.
You just said he's not. You just said he's not throwing the game.
Oh, because he has decided, basically thinking out loud here. Look, if I literally go AFK,
So-
I'm breaking rule obviously.
So-
if I hide by playing Mercy DPS, and I'll try to win as Mercy DPS, but you can't because it's fucking. You're playing Mercy DPS. You ain't gonna win.
Okay, so basically you want me to be a mind reader. So
hold
either he's trying to win it with Mercy DPS, or he's intentionally throwing and trying to hide it. Which one is it? Or both?
No, both. It's both. He's trying to win, but he's purposely picking something that's going to reduce his chance of winning on purpose to spite you.
Look, we're getting. Look,
Alright, obviously, hold on. We're not talking practicality here because yes, you cannot read his mind. Just like in the Final Fantasy example, maybe that guy was just trying to run to the boss, right? And maybe he pulled something by accident, and maybe he cleared. We don't know that.
Okay.
Assuming that we can decipher that,
I
you get banned.
I'm gonna tie it all together.
Tie it all together. Bring
What
it
we're
together.
seeing in this game, and your example with Overwatch, right? These are the costs and prices we pay to live as social creatures in a social world, dealing with other autonomous individuals. If you take this away, you might as well be playing a single-player game with bots. Yes, will it suck for some? Personally, if I had a game like this where someone's trying to troll me by playing Mercy, I would enjoy it. I would remember that game more than my victories, right? Because it's interesting, it's new, it's novel. But I can see some people getting frustrated about it, right? And maybe
some people, hold. Like we're talking 99.99% of players don't want to play with that guy and want that guy to get the fuck out of their game. You are the 0.1% that want that guy.
if people like that get everything they want, right? They will quit the game.
No, we're not saying people should get everything they want. Listen,
You are. If I can't,
no. You trying to make this to a black and white issue, which it's not. Because listen, hold on, listen. If you're playing like if you only play the most non-meta hero, let's say like Sombra, whoever has the lowest win ratio in Overwatch at any given moment, and you play that hero and you play it as intended, right? You're not throwing the game. You play. That should never be bannable ever. You should, if you refuse to switch, as long as you're playing to win on even a non-meta hero, as long as you're playing the game the way it was intended, that's allowed. But if you're playing Mercy DPS or doing obviously something that's not supposed to be in the game, you're throwing the game without actually using the word throwing the game.
Omar,
You can punish one and not the other. Is my point. And that's why it's not so black and white.
I mean, you're accusing me of black and white, but I'm actually the one offering gray area here. The gray area, like that we just said, is where all the beauty of online games happen. Without that gray area, playing multiplayer games is actually kind of pointless. If you're just playing, because okay, you're DPS, you got the big guy with the big gun. You're a healer, you got the guy with the wand, and you're going to do exactly this. You're going to spend this one ability. You might as well be playing a single player game with bots, because there's nothing novel, there's nothing original, there's nothing interesting going on in that game.
All right, now you're drawing. I know Karen's favorite word here, a false equivalency, because I'm not saying that. There are non-meta builds and plenty of non-meta things you can do in these games. In Overwatch, for example, that doesn't involve throwing the game.
What's wrong? As long as you're following the rules and not like running down.
The rules are don't throw.
No, the rules are don't run middle. But you just said he's not technically throwing because he's trying to win.
The act of playing. What if you play one-handed? Or you play with your feet?
Hold on, there are people with literally one hand that play games.
Sure, let's say you have both hands and you're playing with one of your toes, and you're basically slapping your keyboard with your foot.
And okay, here's what I'm trying to say.
Does that constitute playing the game? No, you're throwing the game.
Look.
Without actually saying you're throwing the game.
Look, if this guy can consistently maintain the same rank as me by doing this,
he's not. He plays.
Fine.
Every time he plays.
So he does it once.
He only throws the game with you. No, every time he queues up with you, he plays Mercy.
You know what? That would create some interesting rivalry, and that would be something I remember in that game. Look, anyone out there listening, if you guys play MMOs, MMORPGs, whatever, even games like Rust, write down your top 50 moments in these games. I bet you 80% of them will be moments like this. Whether you're seeing what you saw 1,000 times in this GIF, or the thing Omar is describing, or something like in Minecraft where someone like sneaks into your base and destroys it or something. Whatever it is, these are the things that make games fun. Like if you're not looking for this, or you're against this kind of experience, go, there's plenty of single player games to play. Go read a book, watch a movie. I don't know. Like the whole point of interacting with other humans is this X factor. Things like this can happen, yes, and that is why. That's the beauty of it.
There is a distinction between what we're seeing in the GIF 1,000 times now, where this happens in a persistent open world like an MMORPG, and where players should be allowed to kind of police their own community with their own reputation, and people develop a reputation for being assholes and not that. Look, I'm actually perfectly fine with this guy being a dick and pulling people and getting them killed here. Even if these players don't enjoy it. Like, I may not enjoy somebody playing a non-meta hero in Overwatch or League of Legends or any game, but like, that's not, there's nothing wrong with that in my eyes. And nothing wrong with pulling this boss to kill these people. That's fine. This is an emergent experience, even if it creates a negative environment, right? But using a mercy DPS, it's completely unintended. It's a complete abuse of the system and breaking the rules without actually breaking the rules.
Anyone who does, and this is in real life too, if you don't break the rules, if you only follow the rules, right, you're not living. That's not living. Living is where the rules and where not the rules meet. Okay, the gray area. Don't go kill people, but the friction between like Uber. How did Uber start? They started by completely ignoring the taxi laws, right? And now it's this beautiful company, new concept. People can, people with mobility problems or poor people, they can get around easier with Uber than they can with a taxi. So this is the only place that human progress ever happens is that gray area that you're trying to shut down in gaming for some reason. So we'll leave it there for now. It's an interesting topic. I'm really passionate about it, but I'm sure a lot of people watching don't want to see us go in circles. Maybe post game we can get back to it.
Mm-hmm. But maybe a small side note to this actual video in the background. So again, I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy XIV in the last 3-4 weeks. I was saying in the pregame that I've actually been playing an unhealthy amount of Final Fantasy XIV, which is surprising. I've clocked in quite a few hours. But they added a new zone to the game called Eureka Zone of Animos. I think it's a Final Fantasy XI inspired zone, where basically every player's got, when you zone in here, you start level 1. You have a separate leveling system. As you kill enemies, you gain experience here, and basically it's a new way to as you kill enemies and you kill bosses, you gain these crystals in the game, and those crystals can basically be used to purchase basically something called your relic weapons, which are just very glowy, interesting weapons. So maybe I'll show you one of those weapons, show you a GIF for it. Now, first of all, have you ever seen a GIF this quality? I'm curious. Like, I've personally never seen like a GIF that just runs this well. I think it's a good-looking GIF.
All right, let me see this.
Like, it's basically a cosmetic grind. You do this. You can find some decent gear, but it's not the best in slot gear. It's not going to be as good as raid gear. But basically, you get glowy weapons. You can grind a glowy weapon for every one of your classes by participating in this content.
It is a good looking GIF. And you said this was captured from in-game or some third-party software?
I think
in-game.
I don't know.
I know a lot of in-game clients now have like a screenshot feature, but I don't know any that have GIFs features. That'd be kind of cool.
So anyway, this new. It's an interesting concept. A lot of people on Reddit already hate the area because it's very grindy. Basically, it's actually pretty brain dead experience. Basically, what you do is you basically run around the zone waiting for boss to spawn. And once a boss spawns, you basically just attack it a couple times, and just by hitting it a few times a world boss, you get tagged for credit. So when that boss eventually dies, you get like a certain amount of experience. You always repeat this for about like 50 hours, 60, 70 hours of mindlessly doing this. You'll reach max there, and you'll get a couple of your shiny weapons, right? Mm-hmm. But here's my problem with this content, and with I feel a lot of immersion kind of fall flat on this, because you do this for your weapon or your glowy weapon, and once you get that, you're pretty much done. You get a few weapons for your other classes if you want, but then you're done. You get like maybe you need like a couple thousand crystals for this weapon. I forgot the exact number, but I am blown away by the fact that MMORPGs don't just add more. Like they can really get people to grind more and just feel more invested in the game if they add, like, let's say there's an emote they could have added to the store where gain this weapon costs 1,500 crystals. Why not make a crazy emote that requires 10,000 crystals? Now it magnifies the grind by like tenfold if you want to get that crystal. It's completely optional. It's an emote. Don't get it if you don't want it. But I know for a fact by having that content in the game, people play the game longer. They have more shit to do. I don't understand why they don't add that in there. Because everything you want from this new Eureka zone, you can get in like 4 or 5 days of mindlessly grinding. Why are they stopping there?
Do you know what % of players will even get this?
I think a lot, actually. I think a good amount. Because it doesn't require skill. It requires grind.
Mm-hmm.
It's about just time invested. But why not just... If that's all the content is going to be, why not just, like, why make the top reward accessible like that?
Okay.
I mean, it still takes mindless grind, but and hours and hours of time. But why not just add like exponentially more difficult rewards? Maybe add an emote that requires 10,000.
Let me give you a counter. Let me give you a counter. Okay, I think a lot of players, casuals especially, when they see the high, when they're looking at the list of rewards, right? Where do they start? The top, right? They look at the top one, and the top one is completely unreasonably unachievable for the average person. I think that the cost of that is a bigger deterrent for more players than the top feature would be a carrot to players like you who are like the hard to top 0.1%.
No, but here's the thing. You could easily make it so once you get the weapon, only then will you see the
if it's like a hidden reward, and then you could look at a third-party website, that's fine. Okay,
no. After you get the new weapon, then you'll see the rewards after you buy that weapon, maybe.
Okay, that's something like that.
They can handle that.
Yeah, that's a good.
But this applies to not just like these cosmetic weapons, because when you do a raid in Final Fantasy 14, you know if you don't get any loot that week, you still get a guaranteed you get like something called a tombstone. If you get like 4 tombstones, you can trade it for like one of the drops there. So if you run 4 weeks and you get no loot, you can still trade it for like some drop from that zone, right? And once you get all your gear from that zone, you're done. So what I see in a lot of MMORPGs is people play through the content and they get burnt out after they get all the gear they need, right? So like after like 5-6 weeks, they basically quit the game until the next patch, and for like 6-8 months until new content comes out. But if they just made it so like if you get like 20 tombstones, or like if you beat the boss within like really fast timeline, you get a special tombstone. And if you do that like 8 weeks in a row, you get an emote.
You know why? You know why they did that?
Why?
Because they want you to try Sea of Thieves with me instead of playing more Final Fantasy. So that's Square Enix was thinking.
Look, my big problem with MMORPGs, and it's not just it's World of Warcraft. People get all the content they want to get, and there's really not much more else to do. Like people grind through all the Eureka content, and Eureka will be dead. This new zone will be dead in 2-3 weeks tops. There's no reason to ever go back there again until they release some other new shit, maybe like 4 weeks, like 3, 4, 5 weeks from now. Like, why are they killing off the content like that? Do they not understand? People want to be on the treadmill. We all want to be on the MMORPG treadmill because look, these games aren't like magically designed. The treadmill is a tried and true content they've done, for a long time. Like make the treadmill longer. Let people stay on it longer.
Omar, I think it's time for an intervention. Guys in chat, help me out here. The treadmill is broken. You gotta get off. You gotta get off the treadmill. You gotta try you gotta try the elliptical, the stairmaster. There's other machine, the bicycle. There's other machines to try in the gym more.
That's true. They're fine. We talk about some other machines in the gym. We can talk a little bit about Soulworker, which we played for the last 2 weeks.
Sure. We did Grand Theft twice for it now. Yep. To me, yeah, I'm not excited to go back to it, to be honest.
Yeah.
How about you?
Here's the thing. A lot of my friends who have been playing it said basically they were dirty burnt out of it. Like, they play it for but this is the thing I think with a lot of these closers, Soulworker, Critica, they're fun. The combat is fun. And I think people realize that there's more to MMORPGs than just combat. I recommend play Soulworker. It's free to play. Give it a try, right? Why not? It doesn't cost you anything. The combat is fun. The graphics are nice. I think you'll have fun with it for a few days. Give it a try, but it's just, I don't know. It seems a hard game to get invested into because if you really like that kind of game, like Soulworker just isn't going to be able to compete with like Dungeon Fighter Online, which just has like so many, you have 4 classes in Soulworker.
Yeah.
Close has like 5 classes. Like
yeah.
There's nothing there. It's like it's so content light compared to Dungeon Fighter Online. Yes, Dungeon Fighter Online's got older graphics, but if you don't like that, go play like Vindictus or something. You have more characters. Games like Soulworker and like Critica, there aren't that many classes. There's not enough to do in those games. They're so light. It's just I don't know. They're not bad to play for a while, but it's hard to be super invested in them.
I got an interesting story. It's not Soulworker related, but
sure, let's hear it.
Okay, so a lot of people bitched when Epic decided to shut down Paragon, but now they're doing a little bit of a nice gesture to the community here. $12 million worth of Paragon assets will be made free in Unreal Engine. So anybody out there who wants to be a developer, everything in Paragon, all the assets, character models, maps, environmental objects will be available. Emotes, animations will all be available for free to anyone who wants to use Unreal Engine for any project they want. So they can make a commercial game using these assets for free. That's pretty cool, right?
That's actually mega. I mean, that's something at least. So I feel like people that played or Paragon even supported by buying stuff, at least they feel like their money was spent on resources to help other game developers, because that seems like it's better than nothing. Most games they shut down, the assets go with it. We get nobody gets anything out of it. So I'm glad.
The first batch that they released is $12 million worth, and that's not everything yet. But they did say they want to release even more to come. Okay, so they're going to do even more this year, and I think it might even be possible for a intrepid developer out there, or perhaps a fan of Paragon, to recreate the game, for free
with all the assets.
Yeah, you got all the assets, so why not just whip it up,
Xenix sounds like a good point. 12 million, my ass. Where did they pull that number from? Straight out of their ass.
I don't.
Do you see that hat that guy's wearing? The jacket that guy's wearing? The thumbnail? That's clearly a $10 jacket right there. All right, clearly. Where did they pull these numbers from?
I think it was their internal cost of development. So include the salaries of these high-end, highly paid art people, developers, etc. So I don't think it was pulled out of their ass. I obviously think it's if like a freelance unemployed guy was to recreate this asset, obviously it would be done a lot cheaper. But you got to keep in mind, Epic is paying good salaries and they got nice offices, etc. So yeah. But whatever the value is, it's good. Yeah, it's a good move.
And I think actually it's kind of like it's not necessarily like a gesture of charity, because obviously Epic Games owns Unreal Engine. They want people to use these assets in Unreal Engine titles, because if you make a game on Unreal Engine, guess what, guys? Epic Games gets a royalty of every dollar your company makes after a certain amount. So they want people to use their engine. It's kind of like a market. They figured it would get them some good PR, and they get some more people to use the Unreal Engine. So it's it wasn't pure charity. But still, I like it.
That's a good point. You cannot use these assets for anything else. Like you can't use them in Unity or whatever. Like you got to use them in Unreal Engine. So they're
of course.
Yeah.
Of course, they got to make some moolah. Still nice. Still a good touch. Oh, we gotta talk about I want to talk about PUBG Mobile, but we gotta talk about Bless as well. Man, we got a lot of big stuff to talk about this week. Let's talk PUBG Mobile for a second. We'll get Bless right afterwards. I'll try to keep it short with PUBG Mobile.
Sure.
So PUBG Mobile, maybe show a trailer for it. It just launched in pretty much worldwide. I think in the last week or so. And I played it last night, right? And I wanted to talk about it in the podcast. So I'm like, I'll give it a try. I couldn't sleep right away, so I pulled up my phone, downloaded it, and I played. And my first game, you jump in. And I'm wondering, like, I just got like 3 kills. I mean, these guys are pretty retarded. There's no way, and then I get like 7 kills. Like, what's going on? There's no way I'm this good at this game. If I can suck at PUBG, I'm not that good. So it's the end of the game. I'm at like 12 kills. I'm like, there's only one other guy left. I'm like, they gotta be bots, right? There's no way this is realistic, right? So on that last guy, I'm kind of like standing still. He's missing me. I'm kind of like barely moving. He's still missing me. But he kills me at the end. I'm like, this guy might have been a player. So I wasn't sure at the end. But I Googled it, and I realized, okay, obviously, there's bots. Yep. So what they do is, it's very weird and clever. Because when you play your first game on PUBG Mobile, basically 98% of players are like bots. There's maybe like 5 players in the game, and 95 bots. But the bots are so, the names of the bots are so obviously, they really went out of their way to hide the fact that they're bots. They're like Dragon Slayer 69, it's like Big Dick Bandit 42. They have these random-ass names that are such, player-like names. They really I guess they must have created a huge pool of names that are using them. And they're tricking. We live in such a coddled society, such there's no other word for it, the pussification of society, where you have to be handed wins to you with bots to make you feel so good about yourself. They don't even tell you. Look, tell your players they're bots. They're hiding that information from you. And I just felt kind of weird, why do they? I felt kind of they should be honest. They should tell me straight up I'm playing against bots. I'm playing against bots. And what I noticed too is on my Twitter stream, I'm scrolling to my Twitter stream this morning, and people are like, "Oh, my first game of Fortnite Mobile, on PUBG Mobile, I got like 10 kills. I'm so good." I'm like, and then I realized all these guys think they're great at this video game because they don't realize they're playing against bots.
That's pretty good, and I think it's easier than ever to come up with these names. I don't think they actually had to try very hard. All they had to do was look through the database of their existing names on PUBG Normal.
Put some numbers at the end. Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, and just change every 1 to a 2, every 2 to a 1, and then, there you go. You're done. You got a billion names now. So that's why they look so good, the names, because they already have a database of real names they can just call from.
But I see a fun little problem with this though. It just seems like so dishonest. And their reasoning, of course, is to ease players into the game, right? And the way it works is as you keep playing games, the percent of players that are bots to player ratio decreases the more you play. So it's not your first game that's bots. It's literally every game you play until you've played probably 10 hours. At that point, you probably play with all players, right? And it's pretty easy to distinguish which players are bots, after you kill them, it's pretty you'll tell if this guy was completely awful at the game that you killed.
The only issue I have with this is the deception factor, because I actually think it's a better gradual build up than like a tutorial. Like, you know what I'm saying? Imagine like it's a tutorial and still like, whoa, the SMG has to fire from medium range.
Don't put a tutorial. I have an optional tutorial if you want.
No, because they did the math.
Or tell your players are bots then. Force them to this game.
No.
Most players, say some players are bots.
No. Here's why they don't do that. Okay, attrition rate. Most people that download an app, right? They're gonna uninstall that app within like a minute. Okay, so they need to get you hooked to the gameplay. Okay, in the first like 30 minutes, right? And if playing against bots where you win is gonna, even if you realize it later, now you're already invested. You know how to play.
No, I'm pissed off now. I'm actually I feel it's dishonest. I feel like I was cheated. And not only that, now that I know they're bots, I'm not even gonna play this game again. Why the fuck should I play 5 hours of this bullshit before I can play against real players every single day? It's just not. Winning a game of PUBG is fun because it was a challenging experience. Like we played, I have over 200 hours of PUBG. I don't have that many chicken dinners. You know, my win ratio, is above average. But a win it meant something. I feel like I earned it. Playing it just felt dirty. And I was about to win the game. I was just like, at then I was just testing like, is it a bot or not? Like, it was. I could have easily won the game. I came in second place. I really wanted to test if this guy could ever kill me. It took me a while. It might have been a bot. I don't even know if the guy who beat me was a bot at the end because I was just standing still.
I think this is going to be a growing trend. Well, you can feel cheated all you want, but this is going to be a big trend. I think, honestly, we're going to reach a point where you won't be able to tell if it's a bot or not, especially a game where there's not active chat back and forth. Like, even like a game like Overwatch, I think it's going to be very hard to tell if one or two players in a match are bots or not.
It's funny because somebody in the chat just said like, OMFG, my friend was bragging to me that he came in 4th place on his first game of PUBG Mobile. I'm gonna go break the news to him that he played against bots. That's actually hilarious. Yeah, if any of your friends are bragging on Twitter or Discord that they did so well in PUBG Mobile, remind them that 95% of the players, or probably more than that, in their first few games are all bots. And even you have to commit so many hours to start playing as actual players every time. It's really lame. I do feel cheated.
Wait, if you feel cheated by this, how do you feel about freestyle? I remember freestyle 2 basketball. We tried to get. Omar told me I was playing against bots in the first 5 placement matches.
Yeah.
If he didn't tell me,
that's bullshit too.
If he didn't tell me, I wouldn't have noticed the first round because the names were like a big Asian boy or something, and he was like talking in chat, like he was making some lewd remarks too. So I thought there's no way it's a bot. And then the same thing happened to me with another friend. I got another friend into the game, and he didn't believe he was playing against bots. He played like 3 rounds before he admitted, like, okay, fine, maybe these are bots. So, I don't think it's exclusive to mobile gaming. We've seen it in freestyle. We've seen it in Happy Wars. Remember that game?
Yep.
Yeah. So that game also had the same thing.
There should be an option to opt out of this, or at least tell your player. This guy, look, it's going to backfire to a degree. When people realize, like, look, people that tweeted that they did so well in PUBG Mobile, I can guarantee you today, the day after the game is released, everyone's replying to their tweets like, haha, you faggot, you thought you were good at this game, you're playing against bots. So now the guy that thought he felt good about himself, right? Yeah. He's going to feel like shit now because he thought he was good, but he's not. I think that people are going to realize they're bots.
Yeah, they are, but who cares? You know what? I'm actually okay with this because one.
Do you have any intention of playing PUBG Mobile knowing that your first 5 games will be bots?
I had no intention of playing PUBG Mobile before that either. I don't know, so it's...
Okay, but look, I thought the game was actually kind of fun. If they play this game without the bots, like from the get-go, I'd play it. It actually plays like PUBG, but on mobile. I fucking hate it.
You know what I'd rather play on mobile? Fortnite.
Fortnite mobile?
Fortnite, guys. Look, okay, one problem. I think, honestly, PUBG's dead. I'm calling it right now. It's not dead quite yet.
PUBG's dead?
Yeah, it's going to loop. The slope is down now. Fortnite did it so much better. Not only is it coming to mobile, it's already there's open invites already on iOS, but it's coming to Android as well. It's cross-platform with the PC and console versions. So
I can respect.
No bots, because guess what? You got to play against people on PC. You're not playing against bots. The fact that they made that work while PUBG still can't get their regular game to work properly is a huge deal in my opinion. So I think Fortnite's still especially in the West. I think China's a little different, but in the West, I think Fortnite stole 90% of the thunder. Like honestly, I don't know if they could even fill games. Especially, how would they imagine this game wasn't huge day one, right? PUBG Mobile. Yeah. How would they fill multiple 100-game matches? I think they need those bots to kind of get everyone the full experience.
No, I think they can't, because the beauty of these games again, as long as the game is, it'd be hard if it was an indie game, but it's PUBG Mobile. Like, the name alone is to get millions of people to download it, right? And the way these games are filled is like you get have buckets like. Every time a game gets full, a new room is created, and until 100 people join, then the next one's created. It's like there's 100 rooms at once, all waiting to be filled.
Nobody is gonna wait though. Is the thing.
No.
Like on mobile, if I queue for a game on mobile, right, and if my game doesn't start like this, I'm done. Closing the app. I'm gonna watch some porn on my mobile porn app. All right, I get time for that shit.
I don't know, but with Fortnite Mobile at least, there is an option that's worth mentioning. I think if you're playing on mobile, your default option is to queue against mobile players only. So there is, but
Yeah.
However, you can choose to play against PC players as well. You have the option to like change that up. Like your default is probably mobile only, but PC players cannot choose to queue against only mobile players. That'd be hilarious if you're a PC player and you choose to only play against mobile players. It'd be so mean.
All right, I'm gonna take a quick leak so you can talk about this a little.
All right, I still feel cheated by the fact that I simply PUBG Mobile guys. If you're gonna play, expect your first like 15, 20 matches to be or even later on. It just as you play the game, the percent of players in the game that are bots decreases. But obviously they must have ran the numbers. And I agree. Somebody in the chat did mention that the problem was I realized they were bots. Like if I didn't realize they were bots, and we live in a world where the AI becomes so good, yeah, there's a benefit to having bots in the game. But we're not there yet. But I just feel there's something fundamentally wrong when they just try to make you feel better about yourself by throwing bots at you and not telling you. That's just dishonest. I don't think they're doing you any favors. It's like if somebody tells you, okay, don't worry, I'm going to rub some juju beads on your back and your cancer is cured. You might believe it, but it doesn't make it true. Xenix, I would not be surprised if that's the case as well. Most certainly not surprised. Because those games are very easily scriptable, whether it's Clash of Clans or this. I would think this was more, in a game like Clash of Clans is very easy to script. I thought maybe more, difficult than this, but the bots are really dumb, and it becomes obvious, and I hate it. Why don't you just play COD? I don't know. Not a fan of COD personally. I'm more of a I've been playing more Overwatch, CS:GO than COD. Never really got into COD growing up. 100% Nyko Man. We will definitely play PUBG more if they add lollies, but unfortunately they're still trying to fix their netcode. And I think if they fix their netcode and fix optimizations, the game will definitely do a bit better. But compared to Fortnite, the netcode is just better in Fortnite. I mean, they're both different kind of games, but I just wish PUBG was better optimized. And after this, we're going to talk a little bit about big old Bless. We're going to Activision make a Battle Royale game. Rumor says it's going to be Call of Duty. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. I think Call of Duty Battle Royale will make a lot of money. But the thing is, I do think Fortnite is doing a really good job with Battle Royale. I feel like even my friends who don't like Fortnite or didn't like it at first are being won over by Fortnite. I think once you give it a try, I think people get addicted to it. And my friend Shirley has been playing Fortnite nonstop, basically. So there's definitely something there. And even though they're going to be late to the party, I think if Activision Blizzard does it, it'll do well.
All right. One more shout out to Fortnite, guys. All right, so I didn't play in about a week, right, while we were moving upstairs. Mm-hmm. And so I played yesterday with some friends. There was already so much new stuff in that 1 week I didn't play. They got rid of the 20-man mode, but instead there's like a blitz now, where it's the first circle is already there before you land, like while you're jumping, and it moves faster and there's more loot, like more epic. There's like better quality loot, so it's like a faster, like fun,
that's kind of cool.
Temporary game mode. There's new items and equipment and guns. Every week they add new stuff, so that's amazing to me.
Yeah, they're good with it. We should talk about Bless now, because Bless had a bit of a bombshell. If you saw an MMORPG, somebody broke the NDA for it. We actually got the news as well, but the NDA, somebody broke the NDA and posted on MMORPG that Bless will be launching in May this year, so it's coming out in a few months, and it will be buy to play confirmed. It will 100% be buy to play.
Well, there you go.
Seeing how well Black Desert Online did, they're going to go that route. And it's funny because the same shit is happening. And the reality is, like, it's so obvious what's going to happen, right? Because in all the developer interviews, like, all the developers always say, oh, we're not going to be pay to win, guys. We know you guys don't want pay to win, and we're not going to be pay to win. That's the exact same shit Black Desert said, right? We're not going to be pay to win, guys. Nobody likes pay to win. But does it? And people are like, oh, it won't be pay to win, guys. Have you seen that recent developer interview? They said it wasn't going to be pay to win. But that's just a nonsense, like, defense. Like, of course the developer's going to say it's not going to be pay to win. Nobody comes out and says our game is pay to win. We all say, oh, it's not pay to win.
Somebody should do that. We have an announcement to make. Our game will officially be pay to win. There will be an item in the store, $20, and it says, and then when you buy it, it says you win, like on your screen.
You win.
The credits roll.
It's literal pay to win. It comes out, you get roll credits. There you go. But look, I have a feeling like Desert Online, I think Bless is going to start off very cleanly, and people are going to love it because it won't have any pay to win stuff, and they're going to slowly just dip their toes in the water and see what they can get away with. Because these things always come slowly. Like that's something very borderline stuff that won't like offend a lot of people, and they'll push the boundary more and more until they start going full on pay to win. And eventually they'll drop their buy to play model and then go free to play, and then it'll make the pay to win more acceptable. So they're going to be able to milk both avenues. And I think for sure Black Desert will go free to play as well, only because of all the pay to win items now being introduced to that game.
Yeah, I think actually Bless will just follow BDO's lead.
Yep. As an example, I mean, look, I don't think Bless again is really too innovative, and we even talk about trying to push the genre forward. I don't think Bless really does that, but it does a lot of things well. Like it's got some interesting mechanics, like the fact that your skill slots are actually commodities. You don't get to equip every single skill you have, so you have some control over your build up based on what abilities you have, where you put your mastery points. So just because every class could be a little bit different even if they're the same class. And the dungeons were actually challenging on the Russian version of the game that we played on. Like early on, it was challenging, and I actually liked it a lot. Like it was one of the few games where I was like, okay, I have to actually level up and learn my skills, otherwise I'm gonna die. Oh, we went down this boss 5 times in a row. A level 20 boss, a level 15 boss. That means I have to learn my class, and that was a feeling I haven't had in a long time. Like that it was amazing. But the biggest concern was optimization in that game.
I think there's a certain group of people, gamers, a big group actually, that actually just want a new, standard MMORPG grind from 1 to max level. Then they'll play a little bit after max level and then quit. So this is not going to be your next 3-year, 5-year game. But I think there's a lot of people that want a game like this. They're going to play it to max level. They're going to do a little bit of the end game, and they're going to quit. And for those people, I think it would be a good game. I enjoyed, from what I played, it was good at giving that experience. There's plenty of games that try to give that experience, but are just bad at it. So this is one that was actually good at it. So for what it's worth, I think it'll do. For what it's trying to be, it'll do well.
I think it'll be one of the bigger launches of 2018. This and Air are probably the biggest MMORPG launches of the year. I mean, what else is there? It's just really these two games. They're both generally
this year,
big MMORPGs. I think more and more resources are going towards mobile anyway. So I don't think we'll have that many more big budget MMORPGs coming. Anything else coming, I think it's gonna be all those resources will go towards mobile. I think. I don't think we're gonna have I don't think Blizzard will ever make another MMORPG on PC. I don't see it happening. World of Warcraft will be it. When World of Warcraft dies, in however many years from now, it could be 10 years. Who knows? It's probably a big life still ahead of it. I don't think we'll have a PC. I don't think there'll be a PC game to replace it. PC MMORPG. They'll probably have mobile games to replace it.
That's probably true. Probably true.
Yeah. And speaking of big launches, I mean Black Desert Online. I'm still amazed by how popular Black Desert Online is today. I mean it's a good game. Don't get me wrong. And it was actually one of the games that I would say this is something very different. Very different. It doesn't follow the same theme park model we've seen in Bless, in Final Fantasy XIV, in most MMORPGs. It's got the open world, PvP driven. It's driven by emergent gameplay, ideas we've talked about a lot in the podcast, and it has I think over 15,000 players on Steam currently at any given time, and Steam alone. And there's plenty of people playing off Steam as well. That game is absolutely killing it still.
And something to keep in mind about BDO, since it's only one server with channels, you're actually playing potentially with more players than you are in games that are technically bigger in player base because they are all in that one server.
It's bigger than any single server like in World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, exactly. So that's pretty big. It's important.
And the way content is segmented in WoW and Final Fantasy XIV is that even there is cross-world content, but it's almost like all that content is kind of segmented into raids and instances. Whereas BDO doesn't have that really. BDO it takes place in the persistent world. Like there's the fighting, the whole world is one seamless open world, which is amazing. I think even the concept of seamless open world. We've lost that in a lot of games. There's just a loading. It's weird. Like even games of Final Fantasy XIV that are new. Like there's loading between zones, and World of Warcraft there's loading between zones. Like you have older games like Lineage 2 where there is no loading between zones. Yes, there are dungeons you can queue into, but like the open world itself is open world. I mean, it's weird that we even lost that. Like MMORPGs were supposed to be massive, and when we begin segmenting like that, you right away lose a sense of massiveness. At least BDO has that, which is great.
Well, that new OS that hasn't gone anywhere yet, Spatial OS, is supposed to be.
Hopefully they'll fix it.
It's our savior, right? We gotta wait for that.
No, but if Lineage 2 could have done it back knows how many goddamn years. How old is Lineage 2 anyways? Like 2000.
Yeah, it's pretty old.
Early 2000, I think.
Oh.
If they could figure it out, like, come on. We don't need no Spatial OS to figure this shit out today. If they could do it back then. I feel like.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the head up
Chinese games have done it. What's it called? Revelation Online. It wasn't a great game in my opinion. Definitely not a great game. But at least it had the seamless open world. Yeah, you had to still load in for dungeons, but the world itself is open. And I think that was a great feeling. Just seeing people run around the open world makes you feel like you're a part of a living, breathing world.
Speaking of a living, breathing worlds, one game trying to capture that attention is Ashes of Creation. All right, this is another classic. Actually, the guy who's making this, I forgot his name, the Juice guy.
Yeah, Sharif.
He actually got his start in Lineage 2. He was a big player. You know, he loved that game. I think that's inspiring a lot of what this game's about. But they're having a lot of controversy this week, or I should say last week.
Oh, I must have missed it. What is it?
Okay, so this on our MMORPG, one guy is bitching, and there's a lot of comments here, about this. So you can get pre-order pets. One is a multi-headed goose, which I think he was okay with. But his problem was with this one, the stuffed animal. So it's a mount that's like a stuffed teddy bear, and it's like leaking some cotton. He's saying, "Oh, this destroys the immersion. It's like not realistic. It's like one of those Asian games where you can buy stupid outfits." I think it looks pretty cool. What's wrong with this stuffed, bear pet?
I think it's a non-issue. I think it's a non-issue.
Actually, I should say this. I think some stuff is an issue. I think you're more lenient than I am. Yeah. I think Terra goes overboard.
You can actually have cars in Terra, like little automobiles.
That ruins it for me. But this a magically animated teddy bear that you can ride, I don't know.
Or giant cat in Revelation Online. Remember that one? The giant flying cat.
Yeah, that's stupid too. I think.
But you can. Who cares if it's stupid though? It's.
I do.
What's it to you?
What? No, if I'm part of this world, everything in this world has to be internally consistent. It can have magic or whatever, right? But the things have to mesh well. If they don't, it kind of gripes me. And that's one of the problems I have with a lot of East Asian aesthetic.
I completely disagree. I like the fact that people can be unique and wear stupid shit. Like you should be able to wear you should be able to wear stupid shit. You know, why not?
Because look, if your impression going in it's a virtual world, like let's say you're playing Second Life or something, right? Or like the Matrix Online, where you're part of the world is the fact that you can craft it however you want, right? Yeah. Like Minecraft or something. It's okay. But in a world that's supposed to have its own lore and world, right? I don't want things like imagine like cool, like I don't want like 7-Up. Like in Final Fantasy, if you could like get a skin for your potions, let's say there's health potions, and it could be like a 7-Up skin. I wouldn't like that. I wouldn't like it. Because it's not supposed to be in that world.
So we got a good comment from Castor Cato. He said basically the issue is that the team behind the game said it would be grounded in realism, and this is the first time they've gone back on their word, which is why some players are upset, because obviously, but if you have a world with magic in it, like why can't you animate like a teddy bear? Like why can't a mage cast a spell to make a teddy bear animated and you can ride it? Like I don't see why that's a problem.
And I think actually Sharif left a comment on this thread, and he said something along the lines of, well, this is internally consistent because animating a stuffed animal like this is often what like a mage will do for his daughter, like as a gift. They'll give him like an animated stuffed animal. So that makes sense.
So you're okay with this? So but I feel like if you use that logic, you can pretty much get away with most anything.
But what are the odds? What are the odds they're gonna come up with?
Why not skateboard? Why not skateboard? Somebody got mad about skateboards in arcades. What if this game had skateboards? They had wheels back then, and put a plank on a wheel and put some magic to hold it together. You have a skateboard now.
Well, what I would do then is make it slightly different. It would still be a skateboard, but like, what are the odds that this world will invent the exact same appearance of something? You know what I'm saying?
Who cares? The odds don't matter. You have magic in the world. Magic allows you to basically do anything.
Well, with magic, you can't delve into a different dimension. Like, you can't delve into the real world and like get 7-Up. They can make it look like soda or some other brand. Like, they can be brands of potions, right? But why would it have to be this world's brands? It wouldn't, right? What are the odds you come with the exact same name, 7-Up? You'd call it like Mana Up or something, like Mana Guzzler, like the premier mana potion, whatever. That's fine. But I just don't like the mixing of worlds. Or imagine this. Imagine like in Final Fantasy XIV, they added like Dragon Quest skins, or like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but by the way, they have them.
Like that's stupid.
They have them. No, it's not.
How do they explain that in the lore? Or they don't. They just YOLO it.
No, there's some weird like cross-dimensional stuff where like portal opens through the time and fucking characters come out from like I think Final Fantasy 13. The Lightning Final Fantasy 13 ended up in the Final Fantasy 14 world before too, with cross-world bullshit. Like, how does Marvel do it? Like, fuck. Why does Avengers have all these superheroes from all these movies? They fucking do it. They can weave it the lore. It can be nonsensical, but it's fine. Everyone does it.
Hold on. You know what you do? You know your opinion on these Marvel movies? You roll your eyes at them because they're kind of silly.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Whatever.
So same thing. I'm rolling my eyes at this.
All right, you can roll your eyes, but I think having extra customization like that is generally a win.
And presumably, at least in Marvel, the universe they're in the same universe. right?
Hmm.
So to begin with,
Sure.
they're in the same universe. But whereas in Final Fantasy XIV, the world has a name, right?
Hmm.
Do you want to like it's like whatever Terminus or whatever, right?
I see the benefits of both, but I don't. Why pigeonhole? Like I feel like if you focus your game around realism, I feel like you're missing out on a lot of other stuff.
No,
like,
it's not. It's not realism. Don't call it realism, because like
what is it then?
okay, with Game of Thrones, it's not realistic. There's dragons and stuff, right?
No.
Okay, but imagine in Game of Thrones if like a guy flew in with an F-16 and shot one of the dragons down. Wouldn't that be stupid?
bullshit.
It'd be stupid,
Yeah.
right? So in Terra, if you have like an F-16 mount or something, isn't it stupid? Or in Final Fantasy XIV, I think it's stupid.
But they don't go that far. I think maybe the furthest extreme I can think of in Terra would be the cars. Like they look really silly. Like maybe is there helicopters in Terra yet?
I don't know. But Canary said, I'm sure other people have said it too. But internal consistency is important. Okay, you need internal. So I don't want F-16s shooting down dragons unless the world is initially like that. Like
I agree. But the cars, yes, are extreme. I don't think Final Fantasy XIV has some very like anime things, right? And like some weird Dragon Quest like.
Yeah, I hate that. No,
I think
that's just as bad. No, that's just as bad.
If they added like airplanes, yeah, or if they added like, well, actually they do have like little toy airplanes, but they don't look like F-16s, right? They look like it looks very like steampunky, right?
Yeah,
So it fits the universe.
Well, they did it on
That's
purpose.
fine.
Yeah,
of course.
Okay. Yeah. I think
Terra is an example where they might go too far. And I don't see this particular like you said, this like little dog, the stuffed dog, being like too far away from that.
Yeah, I think the stuffed dog's okay. And this is look, I honestly a lot of the East Asian games I cringe at the shit they put in the shops. Like I think it's Terra as well. You know, you have this stuffed you're like in this full body suit with like a big stuffed head or like a teddy bear. And like you're like a warrior with like a sword. You can't fight like that. It's so stupid. Like I'm totally against that. I'm okay with it as costumes that you can wear in town, right? Like I think BDO does this, where in town you can wear like lingerie and shit, right? Certain outfits, but then in combat you switch onto your gear. So that's good. I'm okay with that. As long as in town you can be as flamboyant and fancy as you want, whatever your imagination can do. But I don't want to see that shit in like it's got to make sense internally.
No, I think you make a good point. I actually want to show you a costume in Final Fantasy XIV, but it might offend your senses. But I think a lot of like even games, like very few fantasy MMORPGs, they don't make armor realistic either, because they're going for more of a cool design than realism, right? Like they make like exposed like pieces, like that no real armor would actually have. Like, does that bother you a lot too? It's not realistic at all, because like pieces of your body are exposed.
Oh, so you're saying like a female armor where like you're wearing a bikini?
Like the chainmail bikini.
Yeah, it's I think I'm more okay with that because it's at least a chainmail bikini. But let's say it was a regular bikini, like a swimsuit bikini. That I would be against, unless it's a mage who's not getting tanked. If a female warrior is tanking with like a swimsuit, I would find it just as offensive. But if it's a chainmail bikini, at least they have the pretense of making a chainmail. You gotta give them some credit.
Mm-hmm. Take a look at the. I'm going to show you something in the podcast. Chat. Maybe show it. Does this bother you? This. I saw this armor. I think this is Dragoon armor, Final Fantasy XIV. It's like what's weird is if it's a costume or ridiculous, I get it. But the fact that it was like actual armor. But
yeah.
Why is that middle section exposed?
This is fine. I'm okay with this.
Well, why is the middle part exposed? Well, like, that makes no sense.
Well, I'm fine with this for the same reason I'm fine with the stuffed teddy bear. I'm not like a super purist like down the middle. Like
if you're
as leeway.
But how is this acceptable? I'd rather have the really stupid looking like costumes than this. Like this is purely impractical.
No.
If you have why is even if it wasn't armor? It's fine. It's literally metal armor. But the fact that her stomach is exposed, but it's only a female. Like, if you wear that same armor on a male character, that's not exposed. It's actually fully covered.
So how is this worse than like just being a stuffed animal, where you have no armor?
I have no problem with that because I don't think it matters whether it was realistic or not. Period.
All right. Well, I mean,
maybe only the extremes bother me. I would be bothered by the F-16. Like I give so much leeway. Maybe our difference. I just give a little more leeway.
Yeah, I think we're just different ends of this. So here's a mount from Terra apparently.
Oh
it's
my God. Zephyron is like the best mount. Holy shit. Yes, that's going a bit extreme. I think. That kind of makes no sense.
Well, Amix has a good point. That armor has to be made for pregnant women to wear or fat women. You need a fat to go somewhere. So if there's an opening where the fat can go.
That's true.
Thinking.
Final Fantasy XIV is a very progressive game nowadays. All right. Makes sense. That Terra has always gone extreme with the mounts. That's always been their thing. They've always definitely overboard. But it doesn't really bother me that much. It doesn't bother me too much. It would only really bother me if they apply like F-16 or like tanks or just really stupid shit. Because they're cosmetics, it's not gonna ruin my immersion.
It will. It definitely ruins mine.
No,
It definitely ruins mine.
Agree or disagree, a smidgen.
And I think it's one of the reasons I don't like the Asian world aesthetics usually, because they have much more. They have much more stuff like this where it just breaks the immersion for me.
I mean, World of Warcraft probably has some ridiculous stuff now. Some of the costumes look like they're glowing and shit, but I guess they're not like super silly, maybe. So I don't know. I like
There's a lot of. I'm giving leeway. Like I'm not being like a super stickler. Like I said, with the stuffed animals, fine, but just some stuff is just too much.
That's fair.
Also, even more important, I think, the art direction of the outfits and items has to match the art direction of that world. So that's why in a game like Final Fantasy XIV, if you just throw in those silly anime slimes, it doesn't fit. Like the art is so different, right? That's the problem. Like
Looks silly.
you can't take like assets from different worlds with different aesthetics and different art styles and completely different like drawing styles and then just smash them together. It just looks stupid.
I think it looks fine. Let me show what it looks like. Actually, you're gonna hate it. You're gonna hate it. Let's see if we can find it. Oh god. Copy link address. I feel like new Google Images got so bad. I can't like copy images directly from where they are.
Yeah, they actually removed that feature. They lost a lawsuit. Did you hear about that?
Oh no, I was
So
wondering why.
I'll do it right now. I'll do it right
Google
now.
Images
We'll search MMORPG. That's fun. We'll see what comes up. But if you go to images, guys. Oh wow! Look at all these MMOs. Look at all these MMOs watermarks. And here's some MMO one. But if you click these images, guys, in the past, there was a button here that said image location, and if you click that, you would go directly to that image.
Yeah, you skip the website. That we might get more traffic out of that too, actually, because a lot of people click on our images from Google.
Yeah, but so what they exactly? So now what they actually lost a lawsuit, and they had to get rid of that button. They didn't want to get rid of it, so they weren't gimping it on purpose. They had to.
Look at the Final Fantasy 14 slime hat. Does that bother you?
You know what? This is almost okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's almost
It's
okay.
there. What's wrong with it? It's fine.
No, but as I'm saying, they actually did a good job of making it fit the style of this world, okay? But I imagine it was literally like the anime slime, right? From like the games. And yeah, that would be bad, I think. So this is actually okay.
If there's an 8-bit shield, it wouldn't make any sense, obviously. Like a shield that looks like 8-bit graphics, it wouldn't make sense.
I bet you there are things like that in a lot of Asian games.
I bet you some games do have that. I'm sure a lot of MMORPGs have that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This is fine. This is okay. This is okay.
It gets anti-steal. We're good, boys. We're good.
I think I'm very generous on this stuff because, you know, but I just, when it's like totally doesn't fit, it doesn't fit.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Good stuff.
All right, well, that's an hour 20, boys. That's a wrap.
All right, we'll continue for a bit in the post game.
Yep. Thanks for watching, YouTube.
Thanks for watching, YouTube, as always.
All right. Well, stay with us if you're on Twitch. Take it easy.
We didn't even talk about Dota yet. We'll talk about it in the post game. Oh shit, we forgot about Dota Plus. Anyway, later for YouTube.
Take care.